Maxie, I've been thinking, should we do season 3 on the Dr. Joe show? You sure? You sure it's a good idea? Why every Cuban cigar brand in America, every brand in America that has a Cuban cigar, Partagas, Monte Cristo, Punch, all of them, they all use the same labels, and there are tiny little differences. They don't say Habana, Cuba, for one, but they all use the same artwork, generally same, except Cohiba. Cohiba doesn't use the gold Cohiba with the black and white checkered band. They use a red dot. Why is that band different? Well, because they knew they could only get away so far with copying the thing. See, they got the name because they were able to convince the courts, the judicial systems, that all it means is tobacco or cigar. It's just a word. It can't be copyrighted. Believe it or not, they won. And they also won because, see, the courts don't know about cigars. They're not cigar people, So when General plays cards like, well, we don't recognize Cuba's right to nationalize, they just throw that cigar in there with every other cigar. That could be part of it too. Long story short, General Cigar and Habanos S.A. have been in court battling each other time and time again. And it has not done anything to remove General Cigar's Cohiba from the market. So you have that problem as well. And I remember distinctly when reading one of the articles, there are so many, about one of these court case decisions, Cohiba versus Cohiba, that a representative from Habanos S.A. said, and I quote, "The American Cohiba and the Cuban Cohiba will never, ever coexist on the same shelves. There will never, ever be a Cuban Cohiba in America for sale as long as there is a General Cigar Cohiba. Ever." That was what he said. And I believe him. Now, what if, here's what people have been saying, well, what if they open little La Casa del Habanos across America, like little cigar shop embassies where they sell the Cuban versions of all these. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? That would never happen. General Cigar will fight tooth and nail to the death before they let that happen. Because after all, who the fuck is going to buy a Dominican Partagas when they can get a Cuban one? Who? Not me. I don't care which, like I said, it doesn't matter which one is the real brand. I want the good brand. I want the good one, the good shit. I want the fucking nice shit. Alright? I don't want the Dominican fucking Partagas. Anyway, before I go on, no, you're not going to have little La Casa del Habano embassies, cigar embassies, spread across America, selling Cuban cigars. It's just not going to fucking happen. It would be very, very difficult. I don't want to say it's just not ever, no way, it would be extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. They may be able to do it, they may come to an agreement to do it minus a few brands, but the problem is, they wouldn't want to do that because American cigar companies don't profit at all whatsoever if those little embassies are here. I mean, imagine overnight. Imagine they just open 2 or 3. Let's say 1 in every state. They open 50 fucking La Casa del Habanos across America. 1 in 50 states. It'll cut fucking sales of non-Cuban cigars by so much. So much. And maybe not for the long haul, but for a good while. This is something that the American cigar industry would fight tooth and nail against. Absolutely. So even if it were a possibility, even if it would or could happen, I don't see it happening anytime soon. after the embargo was lifted. And that segues us nicely into our next topic. Well, what about new blends? What about new cigars? New cigars using Cuban tobacco. Well, that's a good thought. It's a good thought. And personally, unlike the last scenario where if Cuba comes over with their cigars, the American cigar industry doesn't profit at all. In this case, Cuba profits because they're selling their tobacco, and American cigar industries profit because they're selling all these new blends that people go crazy for or whatever. Are you kidding me again? Are you fucking... Do you really fucking think that Habanos SA / Cuba Tobacco / the Cuban government is going to sell the very thing of legend that makes their cigars legendary so that other cigar companies can use it and put it in their cigars? Are you out of your mind? They're not going to fucking do that. First of all, there's only so much room. How many fucking fields can they fucking open? How much tobacco do they have? You know, while still producing all these new limited editions, regional editions, Grand Reserves, all these different releases, plus standard production for the entire planet. For the entire planet. How much tobacco do you think they fucking have? You know, several years reserve, yes. Not enough to start fucking selling it off, because if they do that, everybody's going to want some. That means another thing. If they did do it, and I'm saying they're not, I doubt they will, but if they did do it, first of all, they're going to sell their shit tobacco. Second of all, their shit tobacco is going to cost a fucking fortune. Rising the premiums on non-Cuban cigars blended with some Cuban tobacco, they're going to cost so fucking much, nobody's going to want to buy them. And they're not going to be that good because the tobacco that's being bought is not going to be the good stuff. They're not going to sell the stuff that they put in special releases. They're not even going to sell the stuff that they use to make standard production cigars. They're going to sell the fucking shit they don't want. You know? So, new blends? Unlikely. Unlikely. Not for a long time anyway. And here's a thing that ties into both the sale of Cuban cigars in American cigar shops, or little La Casa del Habanos, whichever you prefer, and new blends. America is currently one of the biggest importers of Cuban cigars on the planet, albeit illegal, if not the biggest. Okay? The Cuban cigar industry is doing fantastic. As a country, we've had 50 fucking years to figure out how to get the cigars we want into the country, and we've done pretty fucking well. We already have a whole industry set up to serve us. And the Cuban cigar industry is making a fortune through that. They don't need to open little La Casa del Habanos in America. They don't need to sell their tobacco so people can make new blends and compete with them by saying they have Cuban cigars, even though they're not a Cuban company. They don't need to. You know? They don't need to. New Cuban brands. And I'll just throw this in there right quick because that was a question too. New Cuban brands. Well, first of all, you have new Cuban brands come out once in a while anyway. You know, like during the 90s with Vega Robena or Cuaba. And then you have special releases, all these special things. You're not going to have new Cuban brands like, you mean, owned by an individual? Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? Like I said, the embargo is ending. Not the government. The government's not going anywhere. So no, there are not going to be new little Cuban cigar brands owned by, you know, Farmer fucking Joe. Yeah, I'll go over there and start plowing a tobacco field. Yeah, if I want to get shot. You know, come on, man. Use your head a little. No, there are not going to be a whole bunch of new Cuban brands. No, not going to fucking happen. You know, Habanos SA was put there in the first place to take the industry to the roof, to make it rise, to make it better than ever, richer than ever. And so far, it's done what it was supposed to do. You know, they don't need all this bullshit, all this fucking change. They really don't. All right? So that's that. What did we cover so far? Cigars, Cuban cigars in American cigar shops? Mini La Casa del Habanos? New Cuban cigar brands? Cuban blends? from non-Cuban brands, not gonna fucking happen. Not gonna fly. None of it. None of it. Because Habanos SA doesn't want it to happen. And on the other side, there are things that General Cigar and companies like that don't want to fucking happen. And here we are as the cigar smoker, stuck in the middle. So, where do we go from here? What is the absolute biggest issue that so many people seem to be forgetting? Wait, before we get to that, quality. Quality and production, well, here's the thing. I don't think quality is going to be that much of an issue. I would not say that quality is going to go skyrocketing fucking down. Like I said, Habanos SA was put there for a reason. And Cuban cigar industry learns from its mistakes. There was a time when they were overproducing, when they were stretching things out, you know, using less leaf for filler, underfilled cigars, blends that were off. They did all that, and they learned from their mistakes when people stopped fucking buying and started buying non-Cuban cigars. You know, you could say, oh yeah, you had things like the Davidoff incident and him, but we don't really, I don't want to mention that because that's not exactly what it pans out to be. Yeah, he left because the cigars were bad. Yeah, okay. Well, whether or not, there was a time that they were fucking bad, you know? So they're not gonna say, okay, every American and their grandmother now wants a Cuban cigar, rip up all the fucking tobacco and start rolling. No. We're making fucking plenty of fucking money doing it how we're doing it now. We have a lot of new people who want cigars, that's good. Maybe we'll raise our prices a little. You know? That way, we make more money from everybody who wants these cigars, and we make them more expensive, they seem more exclusive. You know, most Americans who would just be getting into the game, who didn't ever find out about the whole internet thing, would think those are just the original prices. So you make them a little more expensive, that way you get more money, but you're not creating too many extra boxes. Look, they're going to figure it out. Quality, I think, is going to go up, in fact, over the next several years, still, for a while. Now, let's just say, the embargo's not ending yet. Quality since the year 2001 has gone up. There have been, 2004 was great, 5 was very good, 6, 7, there were a few years where they weren't bad, they kind of leveled off, they weren't getting better, so people weren't going, wow, but then 2008, 9 came, very, very good, 12, 13, this year is fucking fantastic. I don't know if anybody, well, this year, it's 2015 now, but everything my rotation and everything I'm smoking is from 2013. 2013 is fucking great. Fucking great. I don't know if anybody told you, but it's fucking great. So if you can, get yourself some 13 boxes. Very good. I wouldn't worry too much about quality, production issues. They're not going to start like going, roll them twice as fucking fast, fill them less, rip up the fields. Where's all that Grand Reserva tobacco? We need that shit. Just fucking put it in the La Flor de Cano fucking mixed filler. Fuck it. Get rid of them. Sell them. It's not going to fucking work like that. All right? So if you're into Cuban cigars like I am, I wouldn't worry too much about that type of thing happening. So that answers that. But that's just really a side note compared to what we've been talking about, which is me sitting here crushing the hopes and dreams of all those people out there who thought that they were going to walk into their cigar shop and buy cigars. Beside quality, other issues that could be a very, very, very bad problem. Counterfeiting. Counterfeiting is going to get really bad, and a lot of people are going to get really fucked. People coming into the game as the embargo drops off are going to get fucked. Why? Well, one of the things that made Americans so skeptical, which is a good thing in a way because it makes you really look at what you're buying, was the fact that it was illegal. Once it's not illegal anymore, there's nothing in the back of your head going, no, they're legal, no problem. No fucking problem. You know? Counterfeiters also don't have to hide as much because they're legal. They can have warehouses stockpiled in fucking Nevada full of fucking fake Cuban cigars. See, because they're illegal, they can't even store those here. The government doesn't care whether they're fake or not. If they look like Cuban cigars, they're fucking getting burned. All right? But if they're legal, well, that's a different fucking story. All right? I think sales of fake Cuban cigars on places like Craigslist and shit like that is going to go way up. People are going to get super fucked, you know? And it's going to be a time where, because of that shit going on, see, we have our reliable sources. We know where to buy from. But we'll still have to be very careful with things like trading, you know, buying boxes off of somebody you know that got a box from somebody they know. All right? So I think counterfeiting may go up, you know, simply because the interest in Cuban cigars in general will be way up because the embargo is over. So people will be out there hungry, looking for these Cuban cigars. And counterfeiters, what do they do best? They take advantage, not only of people, but of the situation. And that's what they're going to do. So, you know, but here on the Dr. Joe Show, we're going to do everything we can to report where they're coming from, what to look out for. Look, I'm not patting myself on the back, but since this show has started, we've mentioned Just Fakes several times to the viewers on video, in our comments. I know viewers who personally emailed them phone calls. I think they were bombarded for a while. I was actually a little afraid that I was going to, you know, incur some sort of fucking death threat lawsuit because of my show and my viewers fucking telling the guy at Just Fakes he's a nutsack, go hang himself. Well, guess what? Just Fakes, gone. Big Smokers Online. Found it, talked about it on the Dr. Joe Show. Trying to trick one of my viewers, selling him $100 gone. And there's another site, I forget the fucking name of it. I was trying to remember all day and I couldn't find it. Somebody sent me an email saying, Joe, this site you mentioned, they're gone. Now, like I said, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I do find it a little coincidental that 3 of the sites that I not only mentioned, because I mentioned about 10 in that Monte Cristo 2 episode when we went over our lists, which we'll be doing again eventually, as far as the bad guys. But Big Smokers Online, Just Fakes, and their fucking other one. I stressed those on several episodes and emails and comments, and they're fucking gone. So, look, even if I only had 1% of to do with what got them booted, then I did my fucking job. And we will continue to do that with some more faker finds coming up. But enough about that. Let's get into the big one. The one I've been talking about, the one I told you to wait for, the one that people seem to be forgetting about, the one that means we don't want the fucking embargo to end. We don't want it to end because we have our sources. We know where to get them. We have no problem getting them. But if it does end, we are going to have some major fucking issues because of Say goodnight, Max.